The first time I saw her, she was sitting in the back corner of an old library, a quiet girl with a book in her lap and a faint sadness in her eyes. I walked over and introduced myself. Her name was Raina. We talked about books and poetry, and then we started seeing each other more often. She loved poetry. I remember the first time I read her a funny story. She smiled softly, like she was afraid it might start a storm. I don't think she'd ever laughed out loud. We walked together in the park. I wanted to take her photo, but she always turned away at the last second, hiding her face behind a curtain of chestnut hair. There was something about her fragility that made me want to hold her, to protect her, to keep her close, and day by day, I fell deeper and deeper. Until one afternoon, I couldn't take it anymore. I needed to know if she was real, if she actually existed, or if I was just losing my mind. So I asked her where she lived. She always seemed surprised when I asked this. At first, she'd smile and change the subject, but I pressed her, needing an answer. Finally, she whispered, "I live far away." And for a moment, I could have sworn she was crying. That night, I tossed and turned in bed, unable to sleep. Her words echoed in my head. "I live far away." What did that mean? Where did she live? Was she a ghost? In the morning, I got up and went to the only place I could think of, the library where we first met. The old librarian looked up from behind her desk and smiled knowingly when she saw me. "Looking for her, aren't you?" I asked. She nodded. "She comes here every day, sitting in the same corner, reading the same books. But today, when I walked into the library, she wasn't in her usual corner." My heart pounded in my chest as I rushed over to the old librarian. "Where is she?" she asked calmly. "She's gone. She died 3 years ago." What? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She's dead. But how can she be dead if she was here yesterday? The librarian looked at me sadly. "She died in an accident right here in this parking lot. A drunk driver hit her while she was crossing the street. They found her lying right here in a pool of blood." My legs felt weak, and suddenly the world seemed very quiet. I walked outside and stood in the middle of the parking lot, the place where she died. I closed my eyes and a single tear rolled down my cheek. If she's dead, why have I been seeing her? Why can I still see her? Why can I still hear her laugh, feel her presence, hold her hand? And then I remembered the day I asked her where she lived. She'd been crying, and when she finally answered me, her eyes were filled with pain. "I live far away," she said, and I realized that she didn't mean that she lived far away. She meant that she was far away from me, that she was a ghost who had been haunting me. Why? Why did she come to me? Why did she spend so much time with me if she knew she was going to leave me? I want to see her again. I want to feel her touch, hear her voice. The old librarian found me standing in the parking lot and walked over to comfort me. "Let go of her, young man. Let her rest in peace." But I couldn't. I couldn't let her go. I loved her too much. Then one day, as I was walking through the park, I saw her sitting on a bench under a tree. It was the same tree where we had our first date. I ran to her and threw my arms around her, burying my face in her hair. She smelled like rain and the old books we used to read together. "Don't ever leave me," I whispered, and she stroked my hair as if to calm me down. "I'll never leave you," she promised. "Not ever again." When I pulled away from her, I could see the sadness in her eyes, the pain she was trying to hide. "There's something you need to know," she said, and her voice sounded like wind chimes in the wind. "I'm not alive." My heart sank, but I knew she was right. She was a ghost. She had been a ghost all along. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner," she continued. But I didn't want you to fall in love with a ghost. I am in love with you, I said, with your ghost. And she smiled, a sad, beautiful smile that broke my heart. You don't love me, she said softly. You love the idea of me. You've created an image of who I am, and you're in love with that, not with me. I felt the tears pricking at my eyes. I looked away, unable to speak. She was right. I had fallen in love with the idea of her, with the ghost of who she once was. I hadn't fallen in love with her because she was perfect. I had fallen in love with her because she was broken. I had fallen in love with a ghost, and the ghost had chosen to stay with me until I let her go. Now, with tears streaming down my face, I whispered, "Go now. Go and find your peace." And with that, she was gone. I felt the warmth of her hand on mine fade away, leaving nothing but the echo of her touch. As I sat there on the bench, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows around me. It was as if the world itself was grieving along with me.